So what we call is to divest from wars and invest in life. You know? And then thirdly, on economic violence, um, I don't deny the importance of financial and economic reparations. They are very important. But the problem with the climate financing, the way they compute it, it's still they have a very short time frame. So they only compute the recent past and then the near future. But a sense of climate justice would have an understanding of deep history and a far future, intergenerational justice as we know it. And then another way to address economic violence would be debt cancellation to free up the resources of the global south, yeah, to do climate change adaptation. And that would also entail technical and technological support and assistance for adaptation and mitigation. Um, the and lastly, which is a tricky one, which Anya mentioned, is about indigenous wisdom and knowledge. Of course, we call for decolonizing knowledge production. But I don't also want to essentialize the community or romanticize the global south or indigenous knowledge. We also know a lot during the pandemic experience, there are questionable cultural practices. So for me, I would like to have, respect and recognition, integration of local tacit knowledges and indigenous wisdom, but they should also have continuous dialogue with science and technology know-how. Yeah. So maybe I'm appealing for faith-based or belief system-based practices in caring for nature with the knowledge coming from scientific research and technological advancement. So, but another thing, because Anya mentioned about the global south, and I come from the global south. We have so many problems in there. There are autocrats and there are militarization happening. So I talk about lots of violence, but one important and sensitive thing in the global south is state violence. The degree of violence that advanced countries or democracies here in the global north is not really the same as the kind of mortal threats and deaths and killings being suffered by environmentalists and communities, the displacements in the global south. So you see there national government and state leaders in alliance with domestic capitalists, miners, and also foreign capital. And that's the violence that we really need to do. And even if indigenous communities would come up with this way of land commoning, alternative ways of doing. If you do that in the Philippines with militarization of the countryside, you will be accused of being communist and terrorist. And that's very dangerous. So, and that is a way on how the global institutions can come in, because they can be a watchdog or a guarantor globally, internationally, to say these are legitimate local indigenous commoning practices. They are not, violent communists or terrorists. So I think that's one of the practical ways that local efforts on caring for the environment can be linked to global international institutional decision making.